everybody, welcome to another edition of Bearded Guys Gaming tutorial for 7 Days to Die. I'm Joe.
And I'm Matt.
And today we're going to talk to you guys a little bit about 7 Days to Die and some of the tips and tricks that we see when it comes to playing the game. I think some of the important things to hit off to start is when you start the game, how do you set it up? What are the options? I mean, don't you find that to be a crucial part of playing the game?
You know what's funny? I don't think I've ever set up an actual game.
Well, it's a great place to start. I mean, I just think that there's a lot of different ways. We get a lot of people in our streams, which you can find over at twitch.tv/BeardedGuysGaming. Over there, when we play the game, there's a lot of people that say, hey, it's my first day. What are some tips you can give me? Well, here's the first video to show you guys what we would do. So this is going to be based upon PC. Some of this stuff applies also to the Xbox as well as the PS4, but majority of the stuff is going to be geared toward PC. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. We'll be able to help you out. So let's get started. When you first start up 7 Days to Die, this is what you're going to be seeing. You got new, continue, connect to server, editing tools option. Now keep in mind that we are playing Alpha 15.
Yep.
So Alpha 15, not Alpha 14. A lot of your console versions are a little bit behind when it comes to the version of the game. But you're going to come over here to a new game, and you're going to have some pretty standard options that you're going to find. The first option you're going to choose when it comes to playing the game is your game mode. You have three choices. You have survival single player, survival multiplayer, and creative, very much like Minecraft. So when you go down to choose it, if you're going to be playing alone, then you just want to play survival SP. If you're going to be playing with others on a landline, survival MP is the way to go. And if you just want to build the heck out of things and not worry about resources, then creative is definitely the gameplay that you want to choose. The next thing you want to choose is your game world. Now, I would highly recommend, and I think Matt would definitely agree with me,
Exactly.
that you're going to want to play the Navsgain map. It's based out of what? Arizona, I believe?
I believe so.
Okay, it's based out of Arizona. And basically, this is where the developers have spent majority of their time developing the game and perfecting it. It has all standard POIs that are always in the same place. And it's basically where most people are going to get a start on this game to learn how to play.
It kind of reminds me of, I mean, like we say in the stream, is an apocalypse happens right now. You wake up, well, like your area, like
You're familiar with it, right?
Like where you live, what's around, stuff like that. So this is kind of like how this map is. It's always the same. You know where everything's at.
Yeah.
But it's you can kind of still get around things. So
exactly. The second option is random generation, guys. Random generation is basically going to be for people that are more advanced in the game. So keep in mind that the POIs that you're going to find on Navsgain is not going to be inside a random generation.
Correct.
For example, the football stadium, that won't be there.
Nope.
So just keep that in mind whenever you're choosing the game. Always start with Navsgain if it's your very first time exploring in the 7 Days to Die world. Now the third option you're going to have is your game name. This is essentially your save file. This is how the game knows specifically what you're going to be playing and where you left off. So let me give you an example. Let's say Matt and I want to play a single player or multiplayer game together. We choose survival MP and we decide to play it. But Matt goes home and I decide I want to play some creative. I create a new map, creative, and I change the game name. I can call it Joe Creative 2. And now this will be the name of the game. So whenever I go to continue a game, Joe 2 is my creative gameplay, where whatever the first game was I chose was what Matt and I play. So now let's dig into some of the options that you have for when you're playing the game. Now over here you'll see that there are some options under standard. First off, you have difficulty settings. Now you'll notice here that if you hover, as you hover over the different things, it tells you on the right hand side what those options are. So they're pretty self-explanatory, I would say, wouldn't you?
I haven't looked at them, so I wouldn't know.
No, well, I forgot. Matt's never created a game, so
Joe always sets up the game for us. So
I like to control things. So here's basically, you have 6 settings, okay? From scavenger all the way up to insane. Now, if you're just starting out, I suggest Nomad, which is the default setting, as being the best setting. There's no need to go to scavenger, in my opinion.
It's not that bad.
No, and we're gonna give you a tip as to why Nomad is okay if you play the way that we tell you to play. Now, insane. Let me give you a difference with insane. Insane, the zombies are gonna hit harder, they're gonna stay alive longer, and they're gonna be tougher to kill. So if you want to go that route and you're insane, feel free to do it. I mean, it does say you're one brave mother.
Good
The
luck,
next
have
thing
fun.
is daylight. So on the default setting of 7 Days to Die, the zombies walk in the daytime and the zombies run at night. So it's kind of up to you. Do you want longer days and shorter nights? That means less running and more walking. So that's completely up to you. A lot of times, Bearded Guys Gaming, we put 18-hour days. That way we can stretch out our daytimes. When it comes to streaming, it's not a lot of fun to have a bunch of night when you can't go out because you're holed up and pinned up in a house because zombies are trying to rip your face off. So the next option is zombie runs. Pretty self-explanatory as well. By default, remember what we said,
Walk in the daytime, run at nighttime.
okay? Now, the other options you have is never run.
I like that one.
Yeah, well, everybody does. Let's say you want to play and you basically want to have a style game where you want the zombies to always be in this walk mode, even at night. Let me explain something. Just because they're walking doesn't make them any less threatening.
Because at nighttime they still hit harder at nighttime.
Yes, they do. They do.
So-
They do. The other option is always run. So the always run, daytime doesn't matter. Daytime is running, nighttime is running. So there's 3 options: the default, walk and run, never run, and run. Now, the fourth option here you have is enemy aggression. Enemy aggression is kind of a tricky one when you're explaining it, but it controls how aggressive the zombies are. So if a zombie is normal, they sense they'll eventually fall off after a while of chasing you, and then they're normal patterns. But when you put it on feral, the zombies sense you through walls. They're a lot more aggressive and they tend to follow you more. So it's very important that you pay attention to that. If you want a little bit more of a challenge, you're able to come in here and just tweak it up to feral. You can keep all the default settings and just change it to feral. Now, I want to mention something here. With all these different things inside of the standard option, that's what makes 7 Days to Die a unique gameplay. You can come in here and play it as a default setting and then tweak one of the categories and it becomes a completely different experience with the zombies.
Yep.
I'm telling you, there have been times when it's been more challenging when you put it on a walk all the time, but in an insane mode, versus a run all the time on a scavenger mode. We tell you guys, try it out. Now, the next thing we're going to come into is the modded options. This is where you start to get into a little bit more detail, guys. And in my opinion, when you're starting out, we'll give you some tips as to what we think is good, but at the same time, you can leave a lot of these as default settings, okay? The first thing is the 24-hour cycle. One of the things that we like to do is set the 24-hour cycle to 60 minutes.
Yep.
That means that if you're playing the game for 1 hour, it is going to be equal to 1 day. So, example, if 7 days goes by in the game, you have been playing for 7 hours.
7 hours.
Now, if you're familiar with Bearded Guys Gaming math, I need stuff to be dumbed down like that for me.
Yes.
It's just easier that way. The next thing up is block durability, guys. This has to do with how hard it is to break a block. So if you're mining something and the block durability is changed, you may break that block easier or have a harder time breaking it. Same thing for zombies. So keep that in mind. You might want to cheese the system a little bit and say, you know what? Let's break these blocks a little quicker. Well, guess what? So will the nurse zombie. So keep that in mind. The next thing is loot abundance. This is the percentage of loot to spawn in containers and on zombies. Now, this is a really good thing to turn up.
Yep.
If you're brand new, turn it up. So that way, the less things that you're doing, the more loot you're getting, the more abundance. It makes the game a little bit easier for you. We typically don't change this setting, but if you're just starting out, it's not a bad one to maybe tip it up a little bit. It goes in increments of 25%. So all the way up to 100, and then it goes 150 to 200%. Now, here's a fun one, loot respawn. So what do you do in 7 Days to Die when you loot something? Well, you can control how quickly the loot comes back. So if I go to a gas station and decide to open a box up, all I have to do is go into the loot box, and 5 days later, if I've chosen 5 days right here, and there'll be more loot in there 5 days later.
Yep.
You want to make the game more challenging? Turn it off. I dare you. The next option is drop on death. So on your bar, and when you're playing the game, there's a bar at the bottom. that is called your tool belt. Then you have your bag. So once again, one little tweak can change the whole gameplay for you. Let's say a zombie comes up and mauls on Matt's face. Well, not mine. Well, if you put it on tool belt only, then you only drop the things in your tool belt. If you put it on backpack only, you'll only drop the things in your backpack. If you put everything, which is the standard default, you're going to have a little blue backpack that you're going to be trying to look for. Or, if you're real brave, you can do delete all, and you lose everything.
Whew. I don't like that one.
I'm not a fan of that one either. So, starting out, guys, and everything drop is good. And another one, suggestion only, is maybe backpack only. So if you're just starting out, put your backpack. That way your main stuff, like if you have a gun and an axe pick and shovel and a hammer, is on your tool belt. You don't got to worry about having to chase those down. Maybe you made the mistake. Maybe you went into the wasteland. Maybe you got mauled by 22 dogs. Well, don't worry about the bag. As long as I got everything on my tool belt.
Only thing I can say is if you do like that, if you have a gun or a bow or something like that, make sure you have like the bullets or arrows on your tool belt as well.
Pro tip right there. Pro tip.
Otherwise, if they're in your bag and you lose your bag, well, there goes your bullets and arrows, stuff like that. So
very good tip.
If you have where you drop your backpack, make sure you leave like all that good stuff on your belt.
Nothing worse than saying, "Oh, good, I still have my gun," and then you go to fire at a zombie, and you don't have any bullets.
Been there, done that.
So the next thing you have is drop on quit. Very similar to the drop on death. When you leave the game, what do you want to lose? I'll be honest with you. There's never been a scenario where I've changed a setting.
Nope.
Listen, sometimes I got to get off the game. I shouldn't be penalized for that. But it is there if you want it. Now, the next option is enemy memory. So, again, here we are with different degrees of difficulty. The default setting is 60 seconds, which is what I typically leave it on as well. But you can change how quickly an enemy will stop chasing you, or how quickly, or how long before it continues to chase you. So it's important that you put it on what you feel comfortable with. Starting out, 60 seconds is perfectly fine. But believe me, we still have another tip that you guys don't even know about yet that is going to actually make all this not really matter.
Yep.
All right, guys, here we are at the next tip. This is the big one. This is for everybody out there that is looking to play this game for the first time. This is what Bearded Guys Gaming suggests to everybody. You have the ability to choose enemy spawning. So you can do very low, low, medium, high, very high, and then disable. Now, you bought the game because you saw the axe and the zombies at the doorway and you thought, I'm going to do this. 7 days, I'm going to do this. Let me explain something to you guys. You're playing a survival game. The elements are against you. You are fighting hot and cold and thirst and hunger and fatigue. Do you really need to fight the zombies right away too? One of the things that I did that I suggest to everybody, and Matt agrees, is we turn off the zombies.
100%.
That is the pro tip that we suggest for you guys just starting out. Turn the zombies off. You turn the zombies off, get your bearings on how to play. Okay? You turn the zombies off and learn what heats you up. Learn what makes you hungry. Learn how to to take your drinks and where to get water and where to find food.
Your basic survival stuff.
Learn that aspect of the game, and you'll enjoy it 10 times better. I promise.
And like learning the basic like crafting to the game. It's a game that you haven't been into yet. You don't know how to craft an axe or craft a bow. You got to learn these kind of things first before all of a sudden you spawn in and there's 5 zombies like ready to chew your face.
Yeah, let me give you a scenario. You just spawn in the game. You're brand new. Next thing you know, you wander into a town called Dyersville. Next thing you know, you got 4 zombie dogs chasing you and a fat guy coming at you. And then you have this little girl and she's screaming at you.
Oh,
and guess
man.
what? You're overheating.
Yeah.
The last thing I'm worrying about is overheating. Well, you didn't realize that the puffer coat you put on was going to make your heat go up.
Yep.
So one of the things that Matt and I learned quickly on in the game that helped us to enjoy it was we turned off the zombies. And I know it seems silly, and you might not think so, but if it's your first time, trust us. It is a very good tip.
Just get your bearings.
So you turn the zombies off. We usually put it on disabled. If there's one setting that we suggest you change when you first start playing, do this. Now, I know there's quite a few that are like, hey, I'm pro. It's not about being pro, man. It's just about enjoying the game. We want everybody to have a good start getting into the game and sticking with it. Believe me, you're going to make the tweaks in the first section, and in the second section, that's going to show how pro you are. The next section you have is airdrops. Now, airdrops are pretty self-explanatory. They're basically like care packages. You'll get to a point in the game where you stop going after them, or you're just trying to get the little orange marker off your bar, off your map, because it's driving you crazy.
But that's definitely later on down the road.
It is definitely later. Airdrops can also be your saving grace. You might need a sniper pattern, it's in an airdrop. You might need some health packs, it's in an airdrop.
Pair of calipers.
Might need a pair of calipers, you'll never get them, ever. Ever. But this allows you to choose how often you want those airdrops. Again, as a pro tip, we just leave it as normal, okay? I'm telling you, the biggest tip is the one above here. Now, the next option is cheat mode. Guys, if you're gonna cheat, just go into creative.
Exactly.
What is the point? And then mark airdrops on or off. Starting out, I highly suggest turning on the airdrops so that you can see where they're at. It puts a marker on your map and makes it a little bit easier. Now, if you want to make the game more challenging, you can turn them off, but it's not making or breaking your gameplay. Nobody's going to look at you like, hey, I have my airdrops on. Well, then you're not playing the professional way.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't really matter. And that's it for the modded options. The very last options is basically your multiplayer. These are pretty self-explanatory as well. You basically have player killing, which allows you to kill your allies, strangers, or everyone, or no killing at all. Depending on what style play you want to do, that's what you're going to choose. The next thing is public or private, guys. Now, I want to explain something. If you're going to play a co-op game over LAN or something like that, I highly suggest that you put it on a private game. And then I highly suggest you come down here, and if there's only 2 other people you're going to play with, then choose 4 players. If I'm only going to play with Matt, just choose 2 players. You're going to get people that are your Steam friends that maybe you don't want in the game. They're going to join. It's not fun, guys. Sometimes you just need a break. The next thing we suggest is put a password. So, hey, Matt, let's play a private game. I'm going to put on 2 players, and the password is Joe is awesome. Now, after that, you got the port. This gets into a little more technical details. Your claim size, your claim dead zone, your claim duration, your claim decay, your claim health, and claim health offline. These items right here with the claim have to do with PvP type scenarios. So what happens is in the game, you have something called a claim block. It is what protects the things around you. So you can put that block down, and everything around that block is stronger if somebody is not an ally and tries to break into your base or destroy your place. It essentially is a way to protect your area when you're offline or your area while you're online. There are a lot of settings, guys. I'm not going to go through all the PvP settings, but essentially you can make the claim size larger, you can make the dead zone bigger, you can make the claim duration longer so that it doesn't decay over time. If you're familiar with PvP type setups, guys, that's essentially what that is. That is basically all when it comes to the settings section, guys, and that's everything in a nutshell. Remember what we said. The biggest tip that we can give you is turn off the zombies.
Absolutely.
Only for a couple days. I'm going to show you guys something pretty cool here real quick. So let's set up a multiplayer game.
Okay.
I'm going to set up a private game. We're going to do 2 players, and we're going to put a password of 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now this is a multiplayer, guys. Navigaine multiplayer. But we're going to come in here to the modded section, and we're going to turn off the zombies. Now let me show you real quick. When it cooperates, there we go. Now I've set up the game. Everything is default, but the one change I made was I put it in as no zombies will spawn. So now we're coming into the game, guys. Let's see what we got. Now, I want to show you something. So we're playing the game for the first time. We come in here, we step in Navigaine. It's our very first experience into the game. Look, there are no zombies. I don't need to worry about it. There are a lot of things, and we're going to show you in another video a lot of the details when it comes to your character screen and different things you need to look for. But I can play this game and get my bearings by just punching things, picking things up, looking through boxes, picking through cars, and I don't have to worry about something coming behind me and destroying me. Now Matt's over there putting in the password, 1, 2, 3. And basically he's coming into the game as well. But essentially, when you come in here, you don't have to worry about anything until you get a grasp of what you need to do in the game. Now, I want to show you something pretty neat. So we've been playing, let's say 2-3 days on the game, okay? We've been playing for 2 or 3 days, and we've had zombies off. And I say, you know what? This is boring. I got no zombies on. I bought this game to play with zombies. Well, let me show you something. You come to continue game, and here is your Joe 2. You come into mod it, and you change this from disabled to very high, or whatever setting you want. Now, again, if this is your first time, we don't suggest going from disabled to very high.
No.
But we definitely suggest bumping it up a little bit, okay? But keep in mind, I've already been playing on this world for 3 days. Do I need to start a new one? No, absolutely not. I can actually just go into this game, the one that I was just inside of, with no zombies, turn one little dial, and the next thing you know, the whole game is different now. I'm back to the default settings. And now, let's find a zombie. And it might be easier said than done. So, let's skip through the woods here. Let's see if we can find a zombie real quick. We just gotta find one roaming around here. We got a pig on the left over there. Oh, I hear one. I hear it. Let's see here where a zombie's at. Here's zombie. There we go. I see one up on the hill there. And there's one right here. And look, guys, there's a zombie. So simple as that. Let's say you got a head start. You learned how to play the game. You learn what keeps you warm. You learn what keeps you cold. Then you went in and set the changes, and now you have zombies. It's as simple as that, guys, and that's the best tip that we can give you. So we highly suggest you do that whenever you're trying it out for the first time. Guys, that's all we have for this initial setup on how to do your game for the very first time, going through all the settings. If you got any questions, feel free to put some comments down below. We'll like to answer them as soon as we can. Always make sure to subscribe to us, please. We really appreciate that. And give us a thumbs up if you don't mind. And have a good night. Beard stroke.
See ya.